Will Flanigan. Hello.
Great to be here today,
Yeah,
buddy.
would it kill you to shave? I mean, would it, what the hell? I gotta tell you though, I like this look. You look like a Hollywood, like an actor or something. You're like, a little bit raspy here. I'm
Yeah,
liking the
well,
look.
you got it. I think you should go for that look, honestly.
It would take me a year to get to that full of a beard.
Yeah,
I shave once a week.
I don't know what to say
That's
about
it.
that, my friend.
Is that your dog in the background?
That is my dog, my mascot, my buddy, my
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood companion, Bodie.
Sweet. Sweet.
There he is. He's
Hey,
lifting his head.
buddy. All right, there we go.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going to
Bodie.
talk about an adorable dog. Hey, Will,
Yeah.
I'm really happy that we're talking because you and I started out, for lack of a better word, as just competitors in a networking group. And then I got to know you and I went, I like this guy. I like this guy. And the more I liked you, the more I thought we should do something together. And so for years, I've been thinking, hey, if the time presents itself and you want to, become sales partners and help each other in each other's businesses and, power in numbers, let me know. And finally, and it took a while, finally you said, you know something, I'm gonna look into this. And I'm very glad we did because you're just seriously a top quality guy. You're a top quality professional, and I mean, you're just the full package. So working with you is kind of like it lifts me up, and I'd like to, I'm hoping I can do the same with you, that we can just lift each other up as sales partners.
I appreciate that. And I felt the same way about you. I was in a couple of different positions before I joined you, and yeah, the timing was right. And it's been great. I've been really happy with Equity Union and Harma and the team that you've put together. And honestly, it's my
Mm-hmm.
hope that moving forward, we can collaborate and grow this team as big as you want. I think that
Not too big.
my combination of skills and your combination of skills and contacts and charisma. Yeah, I don't want to, get too big, but I think, adding several more people to the team when it's appropriate would be a great opportunity for both of us. So,
Well,
yeah.
all I can say is I'm definitely open to whatever is gonna. This my goal always, and I think I want to make as much money as I can while I can still be a great father and husband. I want to be able to get home, do things I want to do, go to the games, do all that stuff, and as much money as I can make without having some big sacrifice or compromise there, then I'm goals. I'm definitely in for that.
Awesome. So,
All right. So, Will, talk to us real quick about your years of experience, because I know that you're a non-practicing attorney, you're a probate specialist, and probate trust specialist. I know that when it comes to the Rancho area, Burbank, you're the master over there. You know that inside and out. You live there. So there's just so many things I can point out about you. But tell us just about a little bit about your history, about who you are, and but don't go rambling on and on. Okay.
yeah, so my real estate life kind of had different permutations. I managed apartment buildings back uh, over 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to LA to be a writer. And I continued to manage a building in Culver City to keep a roof over my head. I got into property development. I flipped about, I don't know, 12 or 15 properties down in Orange County,
I
primarily
didn't know
in,
that.
yeah, primarily focused on the 55 plus community, which is a great market to flip in because
Mm-hmm.
people that are in 55 plus communities, they tend to stay there until they, pass on or go into assisted living of some kind.
Uh-huh.
And their family either can't move in or doesn't want to move into that unit. So there's a lot of flip opportunities in those communities. But then the market crashed in '08, and so I was thinking, what I'm going to do. And a couple of years later, I got my license, and I've been practicing real estate since. So I've kind of bounced around
Cool.
from different firms. So I think that experience has really helped me understand different brokerage models, how different brokerages bring different assets to the table. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that's nice about Equity Union is they are one of the more forward thinking brokerages in Southern California. Obviously,
I
they're not
agree.
nationwide yet, but they are very well organized, very well managed. And yeah, it's been a good experience so far. So that's what
I
brought
think
me
that
into it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what brought me here to where I am now.
Yeah, yeah. Because to me, I've been a few places also, and actually had some great mentors where I was at. But yeah, once I met Harma and the team, I was like, okay, this is really hard to beat because they focus on building us and supporting us so that we can be there to support the client even more. It's just a winner all the way around. So if I get a call from someone saying, "Hey, you ever think about moving? This is a waste of a call for you. Thank you so much, but it's a waste of a call." I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and I've only been here for what, a little over a month, maybe 6 weeks.
Hmm.
Just opened escrow today on my first
Congrats,
Nell
buddy.
team listing. A week ago, we went on the market. We're in escrow today. Like any escrow, there's going to be bumps and problems to solve, but that's what makes
Well,
us
why don't we start with
grow
that real
closer.
quick?
Yeah.
Because the whole idea behind this podcast is just to share stories. Like it's like we're having a beer together, sharing stories. And so this is the first deal I worked with you on, and I thought, I mean, it's so funny. Every time we talk, I'm like, God, this guy knows this shit. Wow, this guy's on top of it. They're lucky to have him. But there were some bumps along the way. And so you want to share, so far how things are going, because I think you've been handling things beautifully.
Things are going well. We had multiple offers, kind of negotiating back and forth with the ultimate buyer,
Mm-hmm.
who turns out, and I'm not going to reveal the name of the band, but it turns out
It's a
he's a
big one.
legit rock star who bought this house.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only half joking, and it's not officially part of the contract, but we did manage to negotiate 4 backstage passes to their upcoming performance at the Hollywood Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably going to give my backstage passes to
To
the
me.
owner.
Oh, I mean, yeah, to the
Yeah,
owner.
to the owner, because the owner was actually in a band and covered this particular band's music back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Was super excited when this particular buyer became the winning bid.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working through some other minor issues. That's what we do, but I expect a smooth, event-free transaction. We did a lot of preparatory work before we put the house on the market.
Mm-hmm.
As I recommend, and I know you do as well, to all of our sellers, we do a pre-inspection,
Mm-hmm.
identify any major issues, follow up with additional inspections. In this case, you recommended the septic, because I don't do a lot of properties that have septic, but we had
Mm-hmm.
a good septic company come out and certify they cleaned it and treated it, and it's now
Perfect.
certified. Had the roof tuned up, termites were cleared. So these are the kind of things that I think, you know, working with an agent, you really need to have your agent explain the benefits to you, because
Sure.
if people are often saying, well, I don't want to spend the money, let the buyer spend the money on that. It's money well spent when you invest in an inspection, you get the report, you know exactly what the issues are. It's much better to deal with it up front than to deal with it during escrow when you're not quite sure what the numbers are. You're not sure if you necessarily trust their inspection and their estimate of
Totally.
the cost to correct or to credit. So it makes for a very clean transaction. We're having, just a kind of perfunctory inspection on Wednesday, but I don't expect them to come up with anything. And as an experienced agent, I'm very subtle and direct. In my letter, the email that I sent out, I said, given that we've done all these multiple inspections and corrected all the issues, I'm anticipating that your inspection is going to be merely due diligence and a pass fail. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that the seller will not entertain or be open to any credits or repairs because they've already done everything. So unless
Right.
we discover some major catastrophic issue with the property that we did not know,
Mm-hmm.
the seller is not going to be renegotiating credit or
Totally.
a price reduction or anything of the sort. And those are the kind of things that an experienced agent like you or I can bring to the table and ultimately save a seller thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars and a lot of grief, honestly.
Totally.
So
No,
that's
I
where we
like.
are on this deal.
I think it's great, especially when you have septic and termite and stuff like that, that people are going to ask for. So
Yeah.
now you can head it off with professionals that you know and trust that are legitimate, and it just prevents so many issues. So I love that you do that. Surprisingly, I have like a buyer recently, And they put in an offer, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, do you have a termite report? They don't. So we get into escrow, and it's got termites that needs to be tented, and it's a huge house. And my client says, oh, I'm really bummed. And I said, you're going to get a credit now, because there's no way we're not taking this house unless it's cleared. And so the fact that they didn't cost their client tons of money. Right. And so I love the way you work. It just makes things better for everybody. It keeps the deal really moving along smoothly.
Right. Well, and you can do a lot of things in advance, and then there's some things that you don't find out until you're in escrow. And when you talk to me about, thinking about different transactions that I've been involved in that were, I don't know if they were, I guess we'd call them real estate hell. I had a beautiful, just an absolutely stunning property in Beechwood Canyon, which is, for those people who don't know, it's in the Hollywood Hills. It's a very artistic community, multi-million-dollar homes. And this particular home the owner of this home had bought the home maybe 15 years ago. It had been literally red flagged, meaning it was condemned. There were squatters in it. The chimney had fallen in from an earthquake. Half of the corner of the house was exposed. So she took on this project, and it took her about 10 years, but she completely refurbished this home to its 1926 glory, retaining most of the features that made it special. It was a really unique property, and was very proud of the work that she did, had it done with permits, the whole 9 yards. We get into escrow with a buyer, and we discover that the city of LA had placed a lien on the property for failure to comply with an order. An order to address a retaining wall at the back of the property that was, according to them, failing. And the reason that this came about was because there was a big storm, and it had taken down a retaining wall at the street. And so the way the city of LA, I didn't know this, but now I do, the city of LA doesn't go out and inspect properties that have retaining walls that fail during a storm. They just drive by, they take a picture, they move on. There's too many to deal with. So they did that. They started sending notices to my client, who wasn't living at the house at the time because it was still under construction. And for some reason, she didn't get these notices. And then she finally did. And she said, oh, you put that notice based on this retaining wall that came down, but that's not my property. That's a lot next door to my property. That's a sliver of a lot. Turns out it was a ghost lot. And you may not know
a ghost lot?
A ghost lot. It means nobody owns it. It's literally not claimed by anybody. It's a piece of land.
I've never heard of that.
It's a ghost lot. And a ghost lot. So what happened was, in the early 20s, when they were developing Beechwood Canyon, the city was going to build stairs, about a 15-foot wide staircase going from the bottom of the canyon to the top. So they had designated this chunk of land all the way up the hill. And then they abandoned those plans, and then the previous owner who owned that retained the title to that property. I think it was a railroad or something. Anyway, they retained the property title in the late 20s. Then they went bankrupt, and the property went into, bankruptcy and got distributed, and nobody claimed it. So it's not a city property. It's not owned by any legal entity. It's just this ghost lot that's there. It looks like it's part of her property, but it's not. So she wrote back to the city and said, you put an order to comply to build a retaining wall on a piece of land that I don't own. And they said, well, let's go out and take a look at it. So they went out and took a look at it, and they said, oh, our bad, you're correct, you don't own it. But the other retaining wall that we can see over your fence that's in the back of your house, we don't think it's up to code. So we're going to put an order to comply to build that, even though we didn't inspect it and nobody's complained about it. So bottom line, it would have taken her $200,000 to $300,000 to fix this. But now she's in pre-foreclosure because the property was titled. She bought it with her mother. Her mother had since passed away, and they had done a reverse mortgage on the property prior to her mother dying to have end of life care for her mom. So now the bank is saying, well, you got to sell the house. And she's
Nightmare.
like, I can't sell the house because it's got a cloud on title.
Mm-hmm.
And the bank is like, it's not our problem. We'll take it back if you can't sell it. And we'll sell it for, pennies on the dollar. And this poor woman, she's an older woman by now. She's in her mid 70s. She's freaking out. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do. And I said, well, there's a lot of interest in this house. It's a beautiful house. We had 3 different escrows that we opened, but people weren't willing to people couldn't finance it because you can't finance a house with a cloud on title. A bank.
Right.
So I found a buyer who was an all cash buyer who, for a discount, for about a $300,000 discount, was willing to take on this property and buy it for cash with a cloud on title. I don't know many agents who could sell a house with a cloud on title, especially with one with that, because we didn't know. We had different estimates from 3 or 4 different companies what it would cost to repair this retaining wall. Anything from $30,000 to $450,000. Pretty big gap.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So in the end, she sold the property. It should have sold for 1.6 to 1.7. It's ended up selling for 1.4. And she's moved out of the area. She's happy. And
thank goodness you got that done, because the unknowns there could have been catastrophic.
It was a real challenge. It took, from the time I took the listing to the time that sale closed, was probably 18 months. And countless visits to the property, meeting with the city attorney, we had attorneys involved, we had inspectors involved, there's a lot more drama involved in that whole story that I don't have time for, and you don't either. But it was a learning experience for me. One of the sales I'm proud of, because it was helping a person who's really desperate, and we were maybe 2 or 3 months away from that foreclosure happening. So
I've got a property now where the guy, he's in pre-foreclosure, and he's got a limited amount of time. I sent him the listing agreement, still has not signed it. And I'm going, you've got 200,000 or 300,000 in equity. Why are we not doing this? So do you not understand? I mean, the importance of this, the urgency? It's really an interesting situation. Have you ever been in a situation where, a dangerous situation on a listing or on a sale or a showing or something?
Not me. I don't, physically, you mean from another person? No.
I don't know.
No, nothing like that. And, the quality, the condition of the home, nothing has been like, oh, this is dangerous, I shouldn't be in this house. There's some funky houses that I've sold. Sold a house up in the canyons once, and they had a broken down funicular. I don't know if you know what a funicular is.
Hey, watch your language.
Yeah, right. A funicular it's like a trolley car, but it goes up a hill. So it's on tracks, and it gets pulled up the hill on a cable. And this thing had an old funicular that worked, had a platform. So to get up to there was 2 properties on the house. To get up to the property that was way up the hill, you would have had to get that funicular working again to be able to take any materials up there, because otherwise it was just too steep. So that was maybe a little dangerous.
That's kind of cool.
Getting up there, I mean, it was a good hike to get up the hill to get there to this property. And again, another property that I didn't think would sell. It was right on a wash that ran through the canyons over near Tahunga in the mountains there. And there was a rain came down one day, and that wash filled up real quick. And I just thought, man, if this was one of those serious storms that goes on for more than 12 hours with heavier rain, I would not want to be in that house. Because that house, I can't believe it. But it was sitting there for, decades. So apparently it survived whatever storm came through.
That's the thing about LA. It's just everywhere you go, you find something different. I was in Encino and took on a listing that had a vineyard. And I went, what? And it's an active vineyard. You would actually sell the grapes. And then they had this thing, this rope, this swing that would go all the way down over the top of it. And I'm going, you're kidding me.
Like a zip
He had
line?
it for his kids for a year. Couldn't believe it.
That's amazing. Yeah, and that's one of the things I tried to, I grew up in Michigan, and I've lived all over the country, but whenever I talk to people who don't live here, and they talk about the crazy prices that people pay. And I'm like, it's true. The prices here are much higher than in most places around the country.
Right.
But I said, the amazing thing about the real estate in Southern California is you can literally turn a corner, go up a street, and then you are suddenly confronted with the most amazing view that you've ever seen. And you had no idea it was there. Or you turn a corner, you go down a street, and it's like you're in New England. And, the houses are all different. I was just commenting to my wife the other night about how amazing it is that you can walk down a street, like even in my neighborhood here in Burbank. And, there's ranch houses, there's old Spanish, there's colonials, there's French Tudors, there's, Cape Cods, whatever. There's new, there's modern. All this mix of architecture here. Sometimes I play a game, like my house that I'm in now is 1940, and it's so solidly built. And the house is, what is that, 85 years old. And I think about the guys that were building this house, and a lot of those guys were on the eve, this was on the verge of World War II. And the young men that were building these houses in this neighborhood they had all come out of the Depression. They were all getting ready to probably go to war as young men. And I just think about, the kind of energy that goes into a house when it's built, and the people that design a house of this age, and the choices that they made. Why did they put it here? Why did they set it back as far as they did? What was the idea when they put in these windows with these, the size of the windows and all those things I sometimes wish I had a time machine and I could go back and ask them some of these questions. Because I see new construction going up and it looks a lot of cookie cutter stuff. I'm sure you do as well. And I understand it from an economic point of view. They find something that works and they just replicate it over and over again. You've seen a lot of them in Sherman Oaks and Studio City and
everywhere now.
They're the same basic model, and they're kind of in a way devoid of a lot of character and charm. And it's unfortunate, but that's the economics of building a home in Southern California. But it's so interesting to me that when I'm walking around this neighborhood or some of my favorite neighborhoods in Glendale. We were walking around Glendale yesterday, and there's some amazing properties in the hills of Glendale. San Marino, oh my God. If you guys don't know San Marino and you don't know the quality of the amazing real estate in San Marino, you're missing out. It makes anything in Beverly Hills look nice, but I think it's its own unique place. And I just think about the people that were designing these homes one by one and what they were thinking as they saw their competitors building a home down the street. Like, I'm going to make this house even more special. I'm going to put a turret here, or I'm going to add a unit over the garage in the back, or whatever they were thinking. And we don't have that anymore, I don't think, unfortunately. So
it's interesting because you got people who are interested in what you're talking about, something that's very unique and has a lot of character and stuff. But there's so many people. The bigger part of the market wants a lot of that same old cookie cutter stuff.
Yeah.
Surprising. Hey, I do have one more question.
Sure.
You have a charity or anything that you'd like to shine some light on?
My wife and I donate every year to various ones, but the one that we've been donating to for the last, I don't know, dozen years or so is called the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. And the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust it's an animal sanctuary in Africa, and they rescue orphaned elephants, but they've expanded to, orphaned rhinos and other endangered species in Africa. And one of my goals is in the next year or so to go there with my wife and go on safari and see the elephants. And elephants are amazing, incredible creatures, and we should do everything we can to protect them. There's other charities that we contribute to, but that's the one that's kind of closest to my wife's heart right now.
Oh, sweet. How do you pronounce that or spell it?
Sheldrick, Sheldrick.
Just like it sounds.
Yeah, just like it sounds. Sheldrick Wildlife Trust.
Okay.
And a book recommendation, if anybody likes listening to books, there's an amazing book called The Elephant Whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
which tells a real story of a guy who buys a big ranch in Africa and ends up adopting this kind of herd of elephants and becomes, an expert at saving elephants. Really
Oh, that's
amazing, amazing story. It should have been made into a movie a long time ago. This guy's life
That's
story.
great. It's always nice when you have something that really touches your heart. Because to me, I think being able to share that kind of feeds your spirit, and what's close to me, and so the things that are close to me is because I want to do them.
Right, and I know you have a deep connection to Africa as well. So
Yeah.
I think that yeah, it's something that more people should be aware of. It's hard to keep that focus when there's so many other problems here to deal with, whether it's homelessness or
Mm-hmm.
abuse or whatever. Um, but and you can't forget about them, but you also have to remember that animals need a voice too.
Right.
So
Beautiful. Well put. Well put. Believe it or not, I told you it's going to be quick and easy.